Alrighty, welcome back. So this is going to be the next part here, which is going to be working on a little bit of refinement and then getting into the high poly. So we're going to be working with the subdivision modifier to make this blockout asset into a high poly model. So what do I mean by a high poly model, right? So currently, this is all eventually going to get into our working folder here. And I'm going to take all this and I'm actually going to duplicate the majority of this. So I'm going to select all of you. I'm actually going to get rid of my ref real quick. Okay, so it's going to be all this. I'm going to Control C and Control V. I'm just going to move this over here for a hot second. And I'm going to select this and then select all this. Okay. Take this, put this into collection 4. I'm just going to do this as block. And block out. Alright. Then I'm going to change this to HB. Alright. I'm going to turn that off. We'll come back to that eventually. But now, this will be our high poly. So with that, a lot of the time, you're going to be using the subdivision modifier, like so. And what it does is that it'll add an extra set of geometry to be able to give more smoothness to the surface of the asset. And this is just one way to create a high poly model. There's also sculpting, sculpting with like ZBrush, or maybe even the sculpting in here as well. There's also sculpting as well, which we can't really see too well on this asset because we need a little bit more geometry in order to actually get sculpting to work. But we're not going to go down the sculpting rabbit hole right now. Sculpting is very important though. I would definitely suggest to be able to check it out, but it's not in the scope of this tutorial. We're going to be working with just making this asset for right now. Okay, so with this, you can see that when we actually add the subdivision modifier, it actually makes it much more rounded, as well as adding, it breaks the silhouette, which we don't want, right? So we're actually going to keep that off right now. And we're going to adjust some of our edges and silhouette here. So I'm going to zoom in real close here. And one thing that subdivision gives is the roundness, right? But we need to control this. So what we do is we can actually go and add let's call it a support loop. So with this, I'm actually going to go in and add some support loops in specific areas to be able to give it a little bit of rigidity on the model. So let me just add like a little bit more, and then you'll see the magic. I'll explain why I'm doing this in a moment. I also need to do one other thing because I need one more edge loop in here. Okay, do an inset like so. Okay. All right, that's pretty close. I'm going to do one more down a little bit like that, and then inset like so. Okay, so now if we go and turn this back on, you see that it actually goes and like adds a little bit of like smoothness to it, but it still has our weird what is it, hexagon, octagon shape. So we actually need to add a little bit more to it. So if I go and select these ones along, oops, here, and do our bevel again, like that, that actually adds that on all of them, and then voila, it actually holds the edge and keeps our shape and has it nice and smooth. And I can actually add extra subdivisions to make it real smooth like that. So how did this work, right? So what happens is if I go and I'm just going to save this real quick. I'm going to go and add a cube. I'm going to put you over here. So if I go and I'm going to go copy this, move that over here. All right, and I'm going to add a subdivision modifier. So you'll see that it basically adds extra geometry to it, and I can add in a bunch, right? And it's going to make that more of a rounded shape, right? So if I go and turn this off, and then add a loop, and I move this to this side here, this is similar to what we had here, right? Where I was adding the edge loops up here and down here, right? Along this edge. And I also have one here as well. So I'm basically adding a edge loop around here and around here to support this edge, right? So if I go and add this, because remember, this has that little edge loop there, right? And I turn this on, you see that it changes the shape, and it actually adds a little bit of a preference to this side here. So if I go and put this back on here, and I go and do, let's say, one up here, right? So that gives me 1, 2, and I'm going to add another one here. So like this, what happens? It actually changes our shape to add constraints, support loops along this. You can almost like see it right here. And if I add in more subdivisions, you see that it makes it softer, but it's almost like cube-like, but it also still has no edge supports on this side, right? And this one is still very round, right? But this is more sharp. And so you can do this across different parts of your asset, right? So I could do this for the other sides as well. So if I want to make it symmetrical and all that, like so. Now this will look like a cube, but it's like a soft cube, like so. All right, that's essentially what is happening between the two. Now, there's a lot more to it when it comes to the edge flow for things, but this allows you to be able to create sub-D models. There's a lot of fancy tricks that you can do with it, and there's a lot more to it, but this is the premise behind sub-D modeling. Now, there's a lot more complexity to it. We're not necessarily going to go into all of it, but to be able to make the rest of our assets similar to this one, we're going to be using that same edge support loop method across the assets to make them all subdivide properly. And it's actually not that bad. So like we'll be able to get it fairly quickly. So I'll just turn these off for right now. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so we know that this one is good. So I'm just going to name this top, name this middle, name this drawer, name this bottom, and then, okay, so we know that this one is good. So I'm just going to name this top, name this middle, name this drawer, name this bottom, and then, okay, so we know that this one is good. So I'm just going to name this middle, name this drawer, name this bottom, and then, okay, so we know that this one is good. So I'm just going to name this middle, name this top, name this middle, name this drawer, name this bottom, and then oops, that is not the drawer. This is the drawer. This is side, and this is drawer, and this is also side. Let's do this side too, and then the rest of this is like leg components. Yeah, so all that's like leg components. Okay, so it's also very important to try to name and organize your outline collection to be able to make sure you can find things easy. That's like another good rule of thumb. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off a bunch of this because we don't need all of it. Oh, this is the little knob. Okay, there we go. Alright, so similar process for the different parts here. So, okay. Okay, that piece is basically done. Okay, do the drawer piece. Okay, this almost looks like a ring. Let's turn that off for now. Okay, I'm going to edit mode and do our support loops. Okay, there you go. Okay. Yep. Okay, so this one's actually kind of interesting because it needs to be able to have a section here on the back, because we need to be able to have a support loop back here, as well as oops, get off of this. There we go. An inset on this face back here, like so. Then it will work like so. Okay. All right, that one's done. And we got our side pieces. Okay. We'll just inset this face once, like so, and then add our support edges. Okay. We'll see if we need the extra ones or not. Yeah, we do. Okay, that's fine. Alright, go back to our edge loops. Turn this off for a second. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Alright. Do that same kind of process for the other one. Or, you know, you could just Control C, Control V, save a little bit of time. Change it there, and then just move this generally into places. And just delete that. There we go. Okay. Let's see. The bottom piece. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This piece here. Okay. Okay, it's got those two. Let's do inset a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to select the outside ones like that. And then I'm going to bevel, make it a little tight, like so. And then I'm going to add those edge loops back in. So 1, 2, go to the bottom, 3 and 4, and then 1 and 2. Okay, that'll basically be what we need. We'll see if we need to add any more. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Alright, and then the last pieces are the legs, which they already are kind of high poly. So, and yeah, that's pretty close to everything that we kind of need for the high poly. There's probably still like some refinement that we could do. Let me see if these. Nope, those are already good because we added the bevels. That surface deform. Turn this off for a second. Subdivide. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because we need this subdivide on all of these here. Okay, so now basically all these are pretty much ready to go. We could try to go and actually adjust this, because like this is actually like a little wide, because we need to actually have that be full with the gap. So let's actually refine that a little bit. So I'm just going to turn this off for a second and go back to our vertex mode, and I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. So pull this out like so. Same thing here. Pull this out a little bit like so, and then go to the side view, do the same thing. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, alright, so now we need to make sure that our, yeah, because these got adjusted, we need to actually move these out a little bit to match a little more. Okay. Okay, so now that's basically the high poly. So now we have our blockout, right? And we have our high poly, right? So at this point, this blockout is pretty close to what we need for our low poly. So we will actually be refining this blockout into the low poly in a little bit. So that'll be in the next video. But basically we have a little bit of sub-D modeling and a little bit of understanding how the high poly works. And we're going to be getting into the low poly in the next one. So I'll talk to you guys later.